Guston. Just a beautiful kick of the footy. And in 250, Jack Guston kicks his first.
Ginnivan pounces and does better than pounce. He's kicked the goal. They are unstoppable, the Hawks.
Yeah, timed that one quite so well. To land in a dangerous area, though, they come from everywhere. Boot on the ball. Arriving on the scene is Moore, who's got more. Time continues to tick. One lost opportunity for the Hawks. Ginnivan approaches the goals. Jack Ginnivan on the siren. That's what the Hawks fans needed. Pumps his chest and just quietens the Crows late.
The Hawks made a big statement, slicing and dicing Adelaide all over the MCG, posting a 27-point win. There's a feeling of genuine momentum building as the bye draws near, but before that, a giant test in Tassie. There's plenty to get to this week, so let's get down to business. Thanks for tuning in to the Hawk Talk podcast. My name is Nick Mason, and Tiz, you rocked up just at the right time on the weekend.
Well, no, I missed a hell of a lot in the first half, but the second half started brilliantly. I even mocked to you that's it, I might as well go home because Adelaide weren't coming back from that, was it 3 goals in 4 minutes? It was just, we dominated them. The pressure acts were enormous. The team was just on the hunt and they were eating crow.
Job done. Mission accomplished, and not in the Chris Scott sense, mind you, actually mission accomplished. We just held dominance all day. I don't think we were headed by 20 points at any stage. Not what my nerves said, of course. I always thought like Adelaide were going to get back into it because I think the game in South Australia did scar me, mate.
Yeah, well, I could hear a few of the guys around me were getting a bit antsy, but although the defensive qualities of the team sort of evaporated, we just kept scoring. And it was all over when Connor Nash put that 53 through, and we could all relax.
Yeah, I did think of you. I thought you would like that.
Well, yeah, I know what you thought. You thought, wait till he misses this.
Yeah, you would have never heard the end of that.
Anyway, no, it was an excellent team performance, but there were, you have to highlight Dylan Moore and, Massimo D'Ambrosio is just phenomenal. We gave him a rest a month ago or something, and just unbelievable play from him.
All right, there you go, Dylan. That was your little second or two. You got highlighted. Now we're on to Massimo.
Well, Dylan's a bit of old news, really. He's been great for a long time.
Old news? He just kicked 5 goals with 2 goal assists, 27 touches, and you're like, I'm bored of Moore now. Sick of him.
Can't I take him for granted now, Nick? He's elite. He is elite. And D'Ambrosio's heading into that category, is my point.
Yeah, certainly is. D'Ambrosio's king of the wings, isn't he? That's according to Fox Footy. I think, were they using champion data when they were talking about that? I think they were.
That's a swear word, isn't it? Champion data? No, champion data seems to have put their act together a bit this year. They're actually being quite accurate with a few things. But, Dylan Moore just all day. Inside and outside, metres gained. Scoring involvements was 12, which is enormous. They had no answer for him. He's just a little, he's like a Duracell bunny. He doesn't stop.
And he's kicking them from everywhere as well. Yeah, talk about no answer for him. Oh, we'll just have you tucked on the boundary, Dylan.
He did miss his 14th set shot, but he kicked the 13 straight before that.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible.
And I really like the expected scoreline this week, with Hawthorn expected score 107, actual 107.
Bang on. Brilliance. We love that.
Whereas Adelaide had an expected score of 66 and outscored it by scoring 80. They did better than they should have in the end.
Can I just say that I think you're selling our defensive capabilities a little bit short. I thought the pressure we put on this game was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, it was further up the ground. When I say that, there were some very easy goals in that second half.
Where
they got out the back, but it's just the style we were playing. And what it was to me was, it spoke to the group just going full bore on attack. Apart from the second part of that second quarter, where if you look at the graph for the game, it's the only part where neither team is scoring, and it was just a stalemate. which is why it was so surprising that Hawthorn just went bang at the start of the second half and scored relentlessly. But what I'm talking about is, although we had great pressure up the ground, we had to sacrifice. They sort of pushed up further, made the field smaller, and once they got out the back, they just ran into easy goals.
But it took them a lot to get them there.
It did. We forced them to take risks to try and break through us, and invariably we'd score an easy goal ourselves.
Yeah, and we were just relentless in clamping them down. Like the team, big and small, didn't matter what player, were just terriers. They were just ferocious at the contest.
Yeah, and when, Keys and Dawson combined for 26 touches between them, then you add how do you say his name? Because I didn't hear it called much.
It's Rochelle.
That's 36 between them. They are so well down on their normal output. Taylor Walker looked hampered, but also Frost did a number on him. He didn't have a say all day. A very complete performance, Nick.
I think it was. And just that little bit on Taylor Walker, I think he might have been injured at some stage. I'm not sure how much game time he played in the end.
He played most of the first half, I think, and he had a lower back injury, but that happens to old forwards, doesn't it?
Let's talk about young forwards. Jack Ginnivan.
Yeah. Can we go to that moment? Because I don't know what Will Day was doing. I couldn't decipher that at all. He looked like he was furious.
And you would think that, given the way that the game had unfolded moments previous, that he'd have every right to be furious, because Ginnivan burned a couple of players strolling into goal, thinking he was going to absolutely drill it, and he didn't. So I just figured at the time, my initial thought was, Will Day's still not happy. He's letting him know, look, you can celebrate and be a show pony all you want, but the fact is, 2 minutes ago you weren't much of a team player, and I have to still let you know about that.
Yeah, I thought that was really Scrooge-like from Will in the moment. I was like, what are you doing? You don't need this. We don't need this. That was a great goal, and let's celebrate. But turns out on their social media posts, Will Day was backtracking, and he said, no, it was just a celebration. And then you got to love what Ginnivan did. He just comes over the top of that tweet, and or whatever it was, Insta, and he's like, we hate each other.
So are we clear about what it is? It's a kind of celebration. I think I read that they borrowed it from the NBA.
Oh, okay.
Where it's literally the celebration is an exaggerated, almost violent, aggressive hype of each other.
So like an adrenaline bath.
Essentially, and I'll edit this because I just want to say it, it's let's fucking go.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That phrase is distilled into that celebration.
Yeah, at the time, watching it, I thought very much like Hodgie after Smith kicked that goal against Freo.
That's what I thought of as well. That's exactly where my mind went. And, I was in the mood for reminiscing because I went to the 2014 function.
You did too. Was it fun? I saw Spang was there.
Yeah, well, not all the guys were interviewed who got up on stage, but I don't know, it felt all too brief. Limo was MC. I thought he was a good MC, and he was funny and asked some good questions, and the boys that were there were in good form as well. I think Matt Suckling was saying, because Matt Suckling and Jure shared the stage, and Suckers, I think, said, look, me personally, I'm hoping that Jure does get suspended for his hit so we can celebrate properly tonight. But no, it was a fun little event, but all too brief. And given that they've had in previous years for these celebrations, these milestones, or anniversaries, I should say, they've had these big events at Crown and stuff, I found myself thinking, is that all they're going to do? Just this pre-game function that didn't have any catering or anything, and I had a great time, but I wanted more. You
reckon there'll be another event later in the year with every member of the team or something?
I would hope so, and I know that there were so many in attendance, and so perhaps, I don't know, perhaps the playing group might feel like, we've done that now, we've celebrated that now, we move on, but I don't know, I hope they all reconvene and it's done properly, because it felt all too brief.
So speaking of other premiership players, Jack Ginnivan...
Not that Collingwood fans want to admit it. Boy, have they turned.
Oh, very much so. But it's all envy now, isn't it? 489 metres gained, a disposal efficiency of 50, which indicates just how much better he can be. But 7 contested and 16 uncontested. I think that's the first time I've seen that breakdown for him so high in the contested. And pressure points, which were extreme on the day. Warple at 67, Newcombe 63, and then 51 for Will Day, who doesn't seem to be putting on much pressure, but because he always seems to have the ball when I notice him. And then, Jack Ginnivan at 46, followed by Connor Nash at 44. They were extremely energetic whenever Adelaide had the ball.
Yeah, I was quite pleased that in terms of our pressure acts, our top 5 were mostly a midfield contingent. They were absolutely up for the fight, and they wanted to turn the heat up on Adelaide at every stoppage, basically.
And then Chol, I don't know. Early on, you asked yourself, is he going to put any pressure on? But now it's just, he's a lock for running someone down.
Chol might well be the most fascinating player on our list.
Oh, he's great to watch. I'll give you that. I didn't expect that from the big man, to be able to run down these poor big Adelaide defenders who would just... They started hearing footsteps by the end of the game.
But also, it's not only that, the ease in which Chol can dispatch an opponent and then just saunter away. It's just this casual sauntering away from the contest like nothing happened.
He's a lovely field kick too. I didn't notice that before he came to Hawthorn, but he's a very good field kick.
The thing that makes him fascinating is that when he chooses to go is very interesting. And I don't think he ever makes such a bad choice. It's just sometimes from the stands, you're like, come on, turn it up. Let's go. Come on, let's pick up the pace. And then when you least expect it, he does. And you're like, holy, where did that come from? He's just run a bloke down out of nowhere. He just has this uncanny knack of knowing when to cruise and knowing when to switch into the next gear. And that, for mine, makes him one of the more interesting watches of this Hawthorn list.
Even when he's in the ruck, he can do that kind of thing too.
Yeah, very handy.
He balked in the centre and I was like, oh, for a ruckman, this is dangerous. But no, sunk his boot through it. It was a lovely inside 50, nice and deep.
That's exactly the moment I'm talking about, though. That kind of moment where it's like, oh, look out. Oh no, more fool me. He was actually fine. What do I know? You
can see the confidence growing in him. It's really good to see.
Absolutely. I want to just circle back around to Guinea for a sec. We had a question from Scamasaurus. More a statement, I guess. The Ginnivan trade is getting better for us as the year keeps going. Collingwood got pick 33, this year's pick 27 and 45, while Hawthorn got Ginnivan pick 39, this year's pick 30 and pick 74. I have to double check that, but does that sound right to you?
Well, yeah, that's when your talent management isn't good enough, at the club. And he obviously, something inside Jack didn't feel that he was made out for being at the Pies in the convict dress. I don't know. He's looking very happy at Hawthorn.
John Newcombe, 26 touches, 14 of those contested, a team-high 9 clearances. Will Day, a modest 23 touches, kicked 2 behinds. He could have had an absolute day out.
He could have had goal of the year. That was amazing.
He at least had 2 goal assists, which was nice. I thought that goal of the year was so close, wasn't it? Just thought he tried to do a little bit too much.
I thought he could have done more. No.
We had this comment from Ada, NWO Wolfpack. Will Day has to be the most important player at Hawthorn and the next captain. No coincidence since he's been back. The form of Newcombe, Nash and Warple is lifted and they're back to their winning centre clearances, and what a strength that was last year.
He does feel like the next captain now, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I'm pretty pleased with the leadership at our club at the moment. In particular, I still rate Sicily highly as captain, and then I look at Moore and I look at Day. And I know he's not been out there, but I do very much see a leader in Mitch Lewis as well. And then you got the likes of Impey. Impey's fantastic. So I'm quite high on the leadership at Hawthorn.
I also think that Jack Gunston's doing a fantastic job in an on-field leadership role. He's getting some amazing moments out of Deer and giving him confidence to Deer wanted that ball so much on the, nearly half back line there, on the wing, on the opposite side to me. He was willing himself. I thought he'd have to give away a free kick because he was just diving at the football. Guys are under him.
For a big man, that's a tremendous effort. I saw someone online said shades of Cyril in 08.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. But it's it just speaks to the sheer hunger in the group to see that from one of the youngest players.
Some miscellaneous notes now that I took. Warple, Reeves and Day led our tackles with 5 each. Jack Scrimshaw, the Scrim Reaper, as I called him. I saw Max Lynch referred to that.
So he's a listener, eh?
Well, I'd have to assume so. No one else could have come up with that but me, so no, I'm going to claim that one if you don't mind. A team high 3 contested marks. I thought he was pretty pivotal in the win. Top 5 for pressure acts, as I said, our midfield contingent plus Ginnivan there. We heard from Nate, more of a statement, but how good is it that each week we have different forwards kicking goals? Hardwick one week, Moore the next, Chol chipping in when he can. Overall, very exciting footy.
Very exciting footy is what I was loving about Hawthorn on the weekend. You don't know who the target is going to be inside 50, so you cannot devote a number of defenders to that, whoever you think it might be. We're unpredictable going into attack. We also had CJ heading into attack.
Yes.
If you get that overlap run and you got CJ there, if only he'd taken one of those marks. It just looks a little bit off with the touch in the marking contest, but he's so exciting. I enjoyed the headbutt as well. I thought that was good.
I was going to say, I found Giath to be a little bit too attacking. He led with the head, didn't he? So probably need to rein that one in. How did he not get suspended for that? Seriously.
I don't know. I don't care.
That's fair enough. You can see that Giath's still working back into it. He was pretty quiet in that game against Adelaide.
Yeah, he was quiet. But you're going to have a down week when you've had so little. Well, he hasn't had a pre-season. Oh, no, he did have the pre-season, didn't he? Or the back end of it.
It's been very stop-start.
Back end of the pre-season, then he re-injured. But bit like Will Day, who's just starting to find the legs to run out the full game, it'll take Giath a little while too.
Anyway, Nate raises a good point. I think our forward line is fantastically unpredictable to opponents at this point. It's all of a sudden just feels like we've got so many weapons. It's great to see.
And then Bruce strolls on and kicks his goal of the week.
Which I know his celebration was in reference to his kid, but, it just seemed fitting to me. Night-night. See you, Adelaide. It's done. It's over. Bruce doesn't strike me as going for that kind of celebration, right?
Well, you get old, you get grumpy. You start having whacks at people on the way out. No, actually, Ginnivan on the day in the ground, because I stayed waiting for Gunston to be chaired off, which for some reason Kane Corns had a problem with Adelaide forming a guard of honour for him for 250, which was
just common respect that this is a thing that's observed always by other teams, so I don't see what the big point is.
Yep, kind of weird. Anyway, at the end of his interview, Jack Ginnivan mentioned the F word, Nick, and I'm wondering, does that give us the green light to go ahead mentioning the F word here?
Mate, you already raced through the red last week. You yourself mentioned it. What are you talking about green light? You've already run the red.
I know, but then we had comments online saying, please don't mention the F word because... And if you look at the fixture...
Once again, if I presumed to have that kind of cosmic significance, I'd do a lot more with it. I don't think us mentioning finals is going to do anything.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think it's just us getting ahead of ourselves is what they're talking about. We're not playing finals, is what they're saying. And don't even bother talking about it.
Yeah, but you would have noticed that people have gotten suddenly a lot more comfortable with the idea in the space of a week. Because I think, as you say, they look at the fixture and they're starting to see opportunity.
And did you see they're starting to refer to us as giant killers in the week that we play the Giants? I mean, could the stars be more aligned?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to the preview soon, but this is a pretty pivotal clash. Something that I very much liked about the Adelaide win is we beat a team that we didn't last year. Every other team that we've beaten this year, we'd already beaten them in 2023. We didn't get that against Adelaide, and now we've got that scalp, and we move on to the next test, which is the Giants, who we also didn't beat last year. Remember those back-to-back games that we lost by, I think, under a kick, both of them? Redemption for Adelaide, and now we're seeking redemption against the Giants. This one from Jared. More a talking point, but I've been impressed with some of our depth across all lines this year. When we've lost a player to injury or suspension, we've managed to fill the role well. The last line I think we need to prove ourselves is the midfield, though. I'm not convinced here yet.
You see the pressure acts we have to amass to get the ball back. That's because we need to do that before it gets deep into the forward line, especially against teams with very tall and skilled forwards. So, what we're playing now is not really reproducible for a whole season, but you will get runs of it where you can do it. And it's very exciting to see, but to be able to do that kind of high-intensity game style every week, you need to be able to get some big fellas to help you break it down. Get possession of the ball and slow the ball movement down, slow the game down, or slow the opposition's momentum down.
In ice hockey, the lineup that's on the ice, of course, is ever-changing, and those changes are called shifts. And I think we know who our A-grade shift is for Hawthorn. The problem is, and I take Jared's point here, is if you get injuries to any of those guys or suspensions, it starts to look a lot more vulnerable.
That's true, but look, don't you think Reeves put in a good shift?
I did. I was pleasantly surprised. It was a very strong return.
First goal for the game, we've missed twice. He goes back and nails it.
But it was more than that. The thing I like about Meek is that I tend to notice him around the ground more. That's what I've been singing his praises for that. And I've got to say, I saw that with Reeves this game. And I saw some good ruck work from Reeves too. I thought it was a very strong return.
Yeah, I didn't think his ruck work was as good as before he left the side. There weren't as many hit-outs to advantage as I'd like, but he took a contested mark, and I fallaciously told you about it on the chat. And, I enjoyed his game.
This one from Tim. I'm struck by the symmetry of our position on the ladder. We've lost to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 8th, 9th and 10th, but we've beaten 11th, 13th, 14th, 15th and 18th. Does that mean our current position pretty accurately represents where we're at right now, as the cliche goes?
There's a bit of a thought that we're overachieving.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, we're beating the teams that we should be beating for where we are. You disagree?
I don't know. I think our game style is excellent and it's beating teams around us. But like the stats show there, I'm not sure it's going to cut through to winning a final.
Well, there's that F word again. I don't think we have to worry about that at the moment.
And remember, Nick, you don't get rewarded for mediocrity. You only get rewarded for being shithouse. This is AFL.
So your line of thought is, well, what is the point in beating the teams around us? We should be beating everyone or don't bother.
That is basically the thesis. Yes.
And you're so right. That is the way the AFL's set up. You don't want to finish 10th.
Yeah. And I think Brereton brought this up on the radio. He said, they're winning themselves out of a good pick. But I tell you what, on Saturday, I'd much rather do that.
Yeah, look, it's just such an early call. Dermy talking about that at the moment. Who's to say that we don't just continue on this, I say magic run? We've won 2 in a row. Who's to say we don't carry this momentum through to the end of the year and then we see what's possible?
Exactly. Absolutely. Like this would be like, who lost the first 5 and then made finals?
There were 2 teams last year that really had a sensational revival, and that was Carlton and Giants.
And Sydney, I believe, they made a big run.
Yeah, I think Sydney might have started a bit hit and miss as well. I think you might be right about that. But no, you ride the momentum and see where it goes. We don't know. I mean, people can speculate about Hawthorn's ceiling, but you wouldn't have dreamed any of this stuff would be happening, a few weeks ago.
You know what's interesting? Could it be us with a change in the holding the ball rule that end up doing what the Dogs did, with their no holding the ball ever? Perhaps we could go through getting a whole lot of holding the ball decisions, because I fundamentally enjoyed that change all weekend.
Same.
It was fantastic. It saw Melbourne get cut up by Freo in the centre of Australia, which is just, oh, God, that was delicious. If only it had been a 3-figure differential.
I mean, the media's acting like it was. They're getting absolutely torched for that performance, as they should.
So they should.
I got to agree with you. I really liked the change, and I think for the most part it was adjudicated fairly consistently. There were a couple of moments in our game that I thought were just mind-boggling, that I thought were very unfair. But for the most part, across the entire weekend of footy I saw, I was in favour of that change. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep that up.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And it kept the ball moving, and it wasn't that slow where you wait. Come on, ump. I never had to do that once.
Mate, you want to talk about Melbourne there. There was another team on the weekend that got absolutely destroyed, and that was Essendon's VFL side, because Box Hill did a number on them in a big way.
That first half was... demoralising, I believe is the word.
I mean, it was a goalless first half for Essendon. On their home deck as well, Windy Hill. The final margin was 72 points. Box Hill, as you say, they broke the Bombers in the first half, slammed home 7 unanswered goals in what was a brutal and brilliant display. There were stars all over the park. What I noticed, because I did manage to catch most of the game in the end, the way in which our mids were just feasting on the footy. Like, they just had so much of it, all of them. Like, Finn McGuinness with 39 touches. 39 for Finn. 8 clearances and 1 goal, 1 for him. Harry Morrison had 36. Josh Ward, 33. These numbers just don't normally happen.
Yeah, see, this is why you need to make it a national comp, so we don't have to play these little minnows like Essendon. It's just that was an atrocious performance from them.
They showed a little bit of fight when it was all too late, and I think clearly Box Hill were... I think we're trying some stuff as well. Watson was in the middle. Did you notice that? He played some midfield time?
I did. They're getting his fitness well and truly up. I also noticed that DGB's positioning and his intercepts and his ability to read the ball were very good. Like, I haven't seen him that good since when he arrived, probably.
Yeah, I agree with that. I liked his game.
There seemed to be a nonchalant confidence to what he was doing out there, instead of that manic style. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's a good read on it, actually. That's very well put. Max Ramsden was one of the best players out there. 23 touches, 27 hitouts, 6 clearances, kicked 2 goals, 1, was the highest rated player out there, according to the AFL website.
What is it when Reeves leaves the team? The other ruckman just puts in a blinder. It's just...
I do not know. I mean, look, 72 points, comprehensively, were the better side, and... You know, Ramsden's game was very charming. That was very encouraging to see. But
well, I mean, he's one out too because there's no Clay Tucker.
Exactly, yeah. Clay Tucker's out of the side at the moment. Chad Wingard, 15 touches, kicked 4 goals, 1. I think that's his 5th VFL game now. And you'd have to say it's just a question of how they fit him into the seniors, whether they want to do that.
And also Josh Ward is, even Finn McGuinness is smacking down the door, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm sure Harry would fancy himself a chance with 36 touches as well. So these are nice selection headaches we've got all of a sudden. Nick Watson, the guy we mentioned, 22 disposals and 4 goals, 3. What is happening? That's his VFL debut, by the way. So
doesn't want to play VFL again.
That's exactly the takeaway. He's like, bugger this. I will make sure I'm in the seniors from here on out. Never again for Box Hill.
Now, did he miss a sitter?
Well, he actually, towards the end of the game, on the outer side, so not the camera side, and I think he made a bit of a mess of that. About 2 minutes later, he had the exact same kick. I think he tried to pass it instead. Maybe he wasn't feeling it. The pass didn't go so well. He collected his own ball, danced around, booted it home on the run. I just thought, there's the whiz. That's him. That's the player that Hawthorn fans were looking at in the highlight reels pre-draft. And it's going to happen, mate. Goal of the year is going to happen one day.
I reckon you're absolutely correct. Because even when he has had big misses, they don't affect his next play. The psychology of that is magnificent for an elite sportsman. If you can be disappointed and roll up and do it better, or do it again just as hard, that is required, basically.
The question from Finn is a valid one. How do we squeeze Watson back into the side? His VFL performance was too impressive to be ignored. Well, we've got some things to juggle here. Let's talk about the injuries as well, because they're going to come into the frame in terms of how we manage selection. Lloyd Meek is coming back from his ankle complaint. He is still a test, however. I dare say that he won't travel to Tassie. That's my read on what Peter Burge was saying. Jai Sarong, they believe, will be available, but I doubt he's going to come back into the seniors. He'll probably come back through Box Hill.
With Meek, though, we noticed Reeves went off with some kind of lower leg complaint.
Yes, that's right. And I got mail today that, at least to begin with, he wasn't participating in training. So that could be a bit of a watch this space. And look, if neither are available, well, we know that Ramsden's just put his hand up in a major way. So we might see that happen. Ramsden and Chol, the duo there, you would think. Clay Tucker, concussion, he's missing 1 week. O'Sullivan still with that hamstring, 1-2 weeks away. Will McCabe, he's almost here, mate. It's been a long road, but he's had this back issue for a while. He's only 1 to 2 weeks away now.
I'm looking forward to watching Will McCabe. He will be very good as Box Hill go deep into finals. As will Mitch Lewis, mate, when he's finally back in 1 to 2.
Can I trust it? I want to trust it. I want to believe, Tiz. Is it really 1 to 2 weeks away?
I mean, it'll be 3, won't it? Because we've got the bye anyway. So unless he's not playing Box Hill, I wouldn't have thought, Mitch Lewis, unless he's really out of touch.
You don't think?
Nah.
Oh, I reckon he does. After all this time.
We have West Coast after the bye, don't we?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice, having Mitch Lewis there for the... I don't know. Anyway, Ethan Phillips, what's happened to him?
So Ethan Phillips has a knee complaint, and I've seen differing opinions on this in terms of, well, is this a long-term thing? Are they going to need to send him for surgery or what? But then the club reports, no, it's just a short-term thing that they're working through with him. So he's listed as TBC for the time being. So a bit unfortunate, because I thought he was on a bit of a roll.
And then we've got our season injuries with Blank and Butler and Cooper Stevens with his Achilles, which is still a couple of months.
Yeah, they're the long-term injuries there. So that's the state of players. We're looking at selection for Hawthorn versus GWS at UTAS Saturday, 1:45pm. What changes are you making, mate? It's when you've had really strong back-to-back wins, where this team, for Brisbane and Adelaide, they really put them to the sword, both those sides.
Well, who would you like to drop, Nick? Culture Deer, maybe, for Ramsden. If you've got a problem with backing Reeves in for a full game.
Yeah, I think if Reeves can't get up, if there's something more to that injury, then Ramsden probably does come in.
Because I noticed Deer only played 54% of the game. I know he's out for the last quarter, but he did spend a fair bit of time on the bench throughout the day.
They're managing Deer, and both the Brisbane and Adelaide games, they subbed him out for Bruce, which I think is a wise decision. So, I don't know, maybe... I think in time, Deer is probably omitted from the side. He's managed, I should say.
You can't question his efforts, but for a young man, you got to give his body a rest.
Yeah, exactly right. I would be thinking the same thing. In terms of how you accommodate Watson, maybe you omit Seamus Mitchell, move Hardwick back, and free up a space in the forward line for Watson. But then, I don't know, it's been working well. And I'm not sure Seamus has been playing that badly. So, yeah, these are good problems to have.
You want that pressure on these guys in the forward line. And it doesn't worry me at all if Watson has another week in the twos. I wouldn't mind going this week to watch him at Box Hill. Who's in the queue? Who's further ahead in the queue? Wingard or Watson? What do you do there?
Watson, by virtue of his age, I mean they both easily found the goals on the weekend, and they have been. Watson for the senior team. Wingard, I think, has been right to go for a while now. He's played 5 VFL games. I think he was right after about 2 or 3 by the looks of it, just to the naked eye, because he's recaptured the player he was. I think he's very, very good with his scoreboard impact. He's recaptured that, certainly. So, but the problem is, Wingard's nearing the end of his career, comparatively to Watson, so you'd pick Watson. You'd have to.
I would say, when it comes to the West Coast game, we're going to have our youngest side ever.
I think you might be right. And I think at some stage, Bruce, if you try and accommodate Wingard, maybe Bruce goes out for Wingard. I don't know. That's just something I'm thinking of.
Anyway, all good problems to have, and Box Hill are hitting their straps again, which is nice. And I'm looking forward to going along this week. I think it's going to be decent weather too, I'm not sure.
We have some miscellaneous questions here. We heard from Arbel and Andrew, who sort of asked related things. Arbel said, now that we're seeing the team look settled, is it the right time to start asking which trade targets will fill specific needs? What are our biggest needs now? And Andrew asked, is this a time to go for a recruit, or do we hit the draft hard one more year? Can't help but get excited that the growth is showing, but can't forget the 0-5 start either.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the draft hard and got rid of a future first this year.
The beauty of it is that the momentum we're riding is not right at the end of the year. We've got the season. We've got the rest of the season to see how this plays out. I dare say the landscape might shift depending on how we perform.
We've got to get a big scalp, though, and it's looking like Carlton would be a fantastic scalp to get right near the end of the year.
Oh, for sure.
And if you beat Carlton, then you say to the rest of the league, hey, look, we're up and coming. We're playing finals soon. We've got a young team. Join us with success. And then you can probably offer a little bit less because there are cups in the offing. You know you're going to be playing for a good coach that's actually, capable of having success. No, there's a lot to like. If you play around the league, we've got a fair bit of money. We're getting some new facilities soon. We're in a good spot. As long as we can show that we're going to be competitive against the very top quality sides.
I had this question here from GWS Giants. The Hawks are in good form. What's the best way to beat them? Wait a minute.
I can tell them.
No, I've got a healthy bit of banter happening on social media at the moment with the GWS Giants Twitter account, who are good fun. They're good sports, and it's going to be interesting to see just what they do if their Giants get over the top of the Hawks. Gee, I wonder if it might be something from an iconic movie or animated series in which they just superimpose each logo over the top. I wonder, Tiz, what are the odds on that?
Mate, they did them in January, right? Because they knew the fixture. And now it's all on schedule, depending on whether they win or lose.
We had a question from the Spaghettist. I'm not convinced about our chances for finals this year, but I'd be disappointed if we weren't top 8 by the end of next season.
Correct.
My question is this. What can we do to ensure we have a much stronger start to the season than we've had in recent years? And like you, Tiz, I completely agree with the Spaghettist. I think that's fair enough. That's valid. What can we do next year? Probably not have that one day in February that completely destroys, annihilates the club on the injury front. That would be nice. If that day doesn't happen, that's an alternate timeline that we'll just never experience. If that day doesn't happen, then who knows?
That was unfortunate, yes.
That's kind of a facetious response, I guess. But what can they do? I mean, that's a start. Get a good pre-season, get a strong pre-season into the pieces that we want to play.
Don't forget that first month was a very difficult fixture as well, mate.
Yeah, so. I mean, heading into it, I think a lot of pundits were looking at 0-5, and that's exactly what we produced.
Yep.
So, in a way, no surprise there. A decent fixture would be nice for a change. But I'm not going to hold my breath, Tiz. Nick asks, Cam Mackenzie seems to be on track to be a very good footballer. Agree. But does he need a rest, and can we bring Ward back for a crack? Keen to see what he can do in a side brimming with confidence. And Hawker wonders himself any way Ward can get back into that midfield.
Yeah, definitely. Whose spot do you think is most vulnerable there, Nick?
What do you mean? In terms of list? Or
in the midfield that won on Saturday.
I mean, Warple's sort of just fresh off tearing Brisbane apart. He had a fantastic game, but I didn't notice him as much against Adelaide. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to change the midfield. That's the problem that Josh Ward has, is that who would tamper with this midfield at the moment? And
he's been trying for halfback, flank, wing. He hasn't been put in the middle, but he's starting to get a lot of the pill down at Box Hill. And if anyone pulls up sore or something, he'll be the guy who gets the nod. But yeah, it is. I don't see them moving Cam Mackenzie out to give Ward a go.
No, not at this stage. No, it will be a matter of soreness or injury.
But he'll definitely get an opportunity before the end of the year, Ward.
Yeah, I'd say so. Anyway, we've got some red time items to get to, but before we do that, our social media stuff, Tiz. We're up and about. clearly. Anyone who's listened to this point would know that we have a spring in our step. We'd love it if you could keep the party going for us by leaving our show a rating or review, whether it's via Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If nothing else, it helps to spread the word about the show and get other hawkers on board. We recently received a new 5-star review, courtesy of, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Clippage? Anyway, we thank you very much. The review reads, "Love the show, fellas. I tune in every episode and find it extremely therapeutic hearing your review, analysis, and thoughts on the matters at hand regarding Hawthorn. Keep up the great work. Go Hawks."
I reckon that's clippage, isn't it? Don't you think?
All right, we'll go clippage. Fair enough.
Which is what, fullbacks used to do in the 90s. They just clips over the ear, all clippage.
There's a bit of a craft to it. I like it. Meanwhile, it's also fun chatting to all of you on social channels, particularly in the week after a win. That's the best of all. Come join us on X, Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, we'd like to celebrate those that show the podcast their support. The proud, passionate, and paid-up Patreon subscribers who fling us a bit of coin each month. You've got some brand new bonus content coming your way real soon, as thanks for getting around the show. If you're listening to this thinking you'd like to get in on that, you can. All the details are at our Patreon page, patreon.com/HawkTalkPod.
Now, on to the red time items, and I'm fairly excited by this guy. I think his kicking style is excellent. He's also pretty well developed for a 19-year-old at 197 centimetres. Jasper Scaife has joined the Hawthorn Football Club in the mid-season draft, Nick, and I know we spoke about him being potential draftee last week, but it was good to see Max Hall go early, which he went off to St Kilda. That was nice.
Begrudgingly, I have to accept that. I mean, if he's going to go to a team, at least he's gone to my girlfriend's team. So, yeah, it could be worse. I still get to see a bit of him.
Jasper Scaife, West Perth forward, taken at pick 5 in the mid-season rookie draft on the Wednesday night. And do you think we'll get to see him at Box Hill on the weekend or not?
We were about to. He was named. In fact, we had 2 late omissions from that game on the weekend. One was Ethan Phillips, and the other one was Scaife. So I think we're a great chance to see him soon. He was playing waffle. He's kicked 11 goals across 7 waffle appearances so far, averaging 5.1 score involvements per game, which is pretty good to see. I quite like his highlights in the sense that he was bullying opponents. He was just straight up pushing them out of the way, and it just reminded me a bit of Nelson Muntz from The Simpsons.
And it wasn't like, I'm just going to make enough room to take this mark. It was like, no, get out of the way. I need all the space. All the space. You're not even going to be in this contest, mate. This will be an uncontested mark by the time I've finished with you. That was how it was.
He seems like he could be a very intimidating figure. We also had some other news in AFLW this week with the fixture being announced. Pre-season's underway. It's all happening. There is a bit of a fixture anomaly, mate. Do you want to see Hawthorn versus Gold Coast on a Wednesday evening, 5:15 p.m? How about it? We'll head down there to Kinetic Stadium at 5:15.
Which is in Frankston. Yep. No, why not? Obviously, the next day is what, a public holiday, is it? Or what?
So if you aren't, still at work or you've barely just left work, get on down to Kinetic Stadium.
Mind you, that VFLW side have gone cold, mate. What's going on?
They've lost their grip on top spot, and it's the exact wrong time to do it. They're right at the pointy end of the home and away season.
They'll still be there. I mean, they're only 3rd, right?
I believe so. 3rd or 4th. Anyway, I need to double check, but yeah, they need to find the spark again. Everything was going quite well. Up to this point, they were ladder leaders up to round 11. So they need to recapture some spark here. We had some contract extensions for the AFLW. So they haven't played, obviously, an AFLW game. Hayley McLaughlin, Laura Stone, Jess Vukic, and Michaela Williamson, Sophie Butterworth. They all put pen to paper.
McLaughlin and Stone committing until 2026.
And Vukic, Butterworth, and Williamson until the end of 2025.
Michael Ward has written in and he said, "Hey fellas, where does Lloyd Meek sit in the pantheon of cult figures in Hawthorn's history?" We do have a lot, really, don't we?
We do indeed. I think, is he Spanger level?
No, he's not Spanger level because you don't have the crowd interaction with Meek, do you? You can't really go Spang from the crowd. But he's definitely got a wonderful persona.
Well, he's got an entire day named after him at the moment, so that's more than what Spanger had.
But we need something that we can sort of get the crowd involved with, Nick. What, any suggestions? Maybe we'll throw that open to the listeners. What suggestions could we have for Lloyd? Perhaps the double L thing that BT likes to do, Nick.
Lloyd.
Yeah.
Oh,
nah.
God.
Please prevent that from happening.
We'll end on this. I found it amusing that obviously Meek being out of the side, there was going to be no Meek Monday after a win, which was, a bit annoying. But then Moore was so good that I don't know if you saw this, but Meek actually awarded him a medal. Did you catch vision of this?
No, I didn't see this, no.
Yeah, it's worth tracking down because Meek awards Dylan Moore a medal, like the honorary Meek Monday medal. And it's just interesting that you watch it and you're like, there's something off about this. Like, it's amusing, but there's something not right. And then the camera at the last second, there's like a nanosecond, zooms out, and Dylan Moore is on a stepladder.
Oh, they did him dirty there.
That's what's off about it. Dylan Moore's not 7 foot, but damn, he plays like it. He walks tall.
Fantastic to watch Dylan Moore. He's just so brave, the way he goes into those contests sometimes. If you are going down to Tassie this week, they are so switched on at the moment. It's a pleasure to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real treat to see them in action live. Mate, what's your tip? Are we a chance?
If I tip us, what is going to happen, Nick? No, surely we're a chance, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Giants have hit a bad spell, really, and hopefully Tassie will be enough for us to get over the line.
Restore the fortress, I say. Josh Weddle hasn't lost there yet, so let's keep that streak alive. Anyway, this has been the Hawk Talk podcast for another week. Of course, we'll be back next week to bring you the recap of everything, win, lose or draw, all things Hawthorn. We'll catch you then. We are a happy team at Hawthorn.